Hi, we're here for our Tuesday tutorial, and today we're going to talk about strip piecing. What strip piecing is taking strips of fabric, and these two strips are cut from selvage to selvage. I've got a blue one here and a white one. And I've cut them from selvage to selvage like we showed you how to do on our cutting segment. Then I would take them and I would sew them together. Now they don't have to be this long. So I have sewn some together that are just shorter. These are 10 inches. Now you'll notice that I don't have a matching up right here and right here. And that's not real significant. That you don't have to worry about that so much when you do this. But I've sewed these together and they're cut 2.5 inches wide, and then I'm going to cut them into segments. I've got enough that I can cut one more right here as well. I'm going to do the same thing with this one that I've got that's opposite, because I've got one that's the two lights and the dark, and on all of these I press to the dark. So I'm going to cut a little bit, I'm going to line up on my seam line, I'm going to leave a little extra past the 2.5 inch so that I can square it up. Then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to trim it to 2.5 here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a 9 patch. So I'm going to take 2 of these and 1 of those and make a little 9 patch. That's a lot easier than sewing all of your squares together, and you get very straight, even lines on your cutting instead of sewing the squares together. Now, I don't know, hope you can see this, but this seam is going this way and this seam is going this way. I press to the dark, so I'm going to just butt those seams up. So you can kind of just feel if they're overlapping or feel if there's a little space in between, but I'm going to butt them right up to each other, and then you can pin it right there if you need to, and then I'm just going to stitch this together. And then I will have that. And then if I cut a couple more of these, I can make one the opposite as well. Just cutting these 2.5 inches. If you have a great big long strip, there may be a time when this doesn't line up and this line up, and so you're going to have to square it up and maybe scoot it over a little bit, take a strip and then turn it and square it up again like we did on the first. But here's another one that's going to be just opposite. And all that was 3 strips of blue and 3 strips of white that were 10 inches. And I can make 2 little 9 patches. And it's really, really easy. Your corners are going to look great. I'm going to sew it together and show you how good the corners look, because the seams are pressed the opposite way. Whenever you're sewing strips together, especially longer strips, it's really important that you stagger the way you sew them. So one from this side, and one from this side, and one from this side. If you sew them all from the same direction, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a rainbow. And that happens because the feed dogs, which are underneath the presser feet, the presser foot, they take the fabric through a little bit more quickly than the fabric on the top. So the bottom fabric goes through just a hair faster than the top fabric, and so you get this rainbow effect. So if you sew one strip this way and then the next strip this way and then the next strip this way, then you'll avoid this rainbow effect. Okay, I've got my finished products here of my little 9 patches, and I want you to notice this. Well, let's look at this corner right there. You can see that really well, that the corners really match up. The points just match so well, and that's because they're pressed. This one's pressed this way and this one's pressed this way. When you get to the final seams, it doesn't matter if you press them out or press them in. So here's my 2 little 9 patches that I made, and I also wanted to show you that I made a little 4 patch because I had a strip of just the white and the blue, so I cut 2 pieces off and just made a little 4 patch. So strip piecing is really a time saver. You can make something really quickly by just sewing your strips together and then cutting them in segments and sewing them back together. With the pressing, it makes perfect points, and it really is fast and easy. Thanks.